Marak strolled through one of the dark and narrow tunnels running beneath the south-facing wall. He sent a ball of white light ahead of him, a sphere of radiance that slowly spun in the air, illuminating the path ahead. He had to step over corpses. Hundreds of them. Most had already been stripped of their armor and weapons, all of which had been taken somewhere safe so they could be distributed to those who needed it. That was the thing about sieges. They were all about resources, about attrition. They were a slow, painful grind, a contest of will, who could last the longest, who could apply the most pressure. Marak was tired. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Earlier that morning he'd used his sorcery to set a dozen siege ladders ablaze, while enemy soldiers were in the process of climbing, stopping their latest wave before it had really begun. It had taken a lot out of him, but not as much as it might have in the past. The truth was, Marak could feel himself becoming more powerful by the day. It started, he knew, on the day he'd died, and Tomato had brought him back. His pact with the Great Devourer, however much he resented the necessity of it, had left him with more energy and strength than ever before. Now he could commit great acts of sorcery and afterward still have the ability to hold himself upright. He could even use sorcery multiple days in a row without it totally exhausting him. Nor did it feel as dangerous. No longer was he left vomiting blood, or with his skull aching so dramatically that he thought he must be dying. There was a piece of Tomatil inside of him, and the more he accomplished, the more lives he took, the more established he became, the more that little piece grew. He tried not to think about it too much. It was a problem for him to deal with in the future. Right now, it was helping him win a siege. Movement from ahead, boots scraping against stone. Marak became still. He projected his mind outward, searching for the conscious thoughts of others. And there they were, a dozen Ascendancy beetle knights. These ones were young, squires who had been forced into knighthood prematurely in order to replenish the rapidly dwindling ranks of the enemy. For several moments, Marak simply stood there and listened to their thoughts. They'd been sent to search for survivors, to determine whether or not the tunnel had, at any point along its length, been collapsed, and whether or not it might still be usable for another assault. The enemy had spent weeks digging this particular tunnel. They'd added even more supporting beams than usual. Their engineering teams had attempted to make it so sturdy that it could not be easily collapsed. Of course, engineering could do very little to stop Marak from simply using sorcery